Hello, I'm Jim Clausen. Welcome to my program on Level 3 Leadership. In this program, we're going to talk about fundamental elements of leadership and how they contribute to getting things done in organizations. The first concept we'd like to explore is the notion that when you talk about leadership, eventually you're going to have to ask leadership to what end? And to what end invites the strategic question, that is, where are we going? How do we choose what to focus our energy on? And what's our plan for getting there? Of course, when we talk about getting there, then necessarily we have to talk about the third concept, which is leading and managing change. So when we talk about leadership, we're really talking about leading strategic change. Now, as we explore this combination of ideas under the broad rubric of leadership, we're going to use a framework, a relatively simple but robust framework that will help you think about how to manage and construct your ideas of change and leadership in your head. The first concept is you as the leader. Who you are, how you conduct yourself, your personal characteristics, the way you stand, the way you speak, all of these elements will affect your ability to get others to do what you want them to do. Of course, then you also must ask the question, leadership to what end, as we just described. So the question here will be, do you have a strategic story to tell? Or, if you haven't formulated one yet, are you still waiting for someone else to make the decisions about where we're going to focus our efforts? If you have a strategy in mind, the next question will be, how do you develop influence to get others to buy into your strategy? This dashed line indicates that if you are unable to communicate clearly what your strategy or your strategic story is, the bond or the connection, the linkage between your employees and the strategy will not form, and your leadership will be undermined. The fourth element will be represented by this north-south axis, your characteristics as an organizational architect. That is, can you design an organization that will help rather than hinder the accomplishment of your strategy? Now, depending on the organizational design elements and the systems that you put in place, you may create an organizational connection with your employees that is either mercenary in nature or perhaps highly committed in nature. The way you hire, the way you select, the way you design work, the people that you have reporting to other people, the structure therefore, the way you assess performance, reward performance, plus all of the financial systems, the accounting systems, the operational systems, all of those design decisions will combine to produce an organization that either people will feel connected with or not. And then on this southeast axis, while you're making all of these decisions around strategy, influence, and organizational architecture, the world is evolving and moving. So your ability to manage change in the organization so that it keeps up with the changes that are occurring around you becomes an important element in our leadership model. So if we use this model as our general framework, the questions will be first with regard to the northern ball, who are you? What are your characteristics? Again, in terms of the way you present yourself, the way you think, and your underlying beliefs. What's your story? Do you have one? If you don't, you'll be a listener in strategic conversations rather than a communicator. Can you sell your story to others? That is, will they buy your point of view? Can you design and create an organization that will help rather than hinder the implementation of your objective? I'm sure you've seen many organizations where they are so weighed under by the various organizational systems and structures and policies and the bureaucracy, if you will, that they've actually lost their ability to produce what they were originally intended to do. And then, can you lead change? Are you a change master? Do you understand the change process? Do you know how to initiate it, how to manage it, how to reach its fruition and reap the benefits thereof? These 5 questions are critical in our study of what it takes to be an effective leader in today's world. Now, all of these elements, of course, take place in a broader environment. So the environment here would include the political environment, the economic environment, the labor market, competitive market, all of the factors that surround an organization and help it to either accomplish its purposes or not. And when we talk about leadership, we want to talk about results. So there are some important issues with regard to is leadership effective or not. We want to understand those before we dive into the various pieces. So let's be pretty clear that when we think about results from leadership effort, the first thing, but not the only thing that we should consider perhaps, are the financial results. These are registered in your balance sheet, your income statement, and the other financial measures that management may be paying attention to, such as return on investment and so forth. But if you only look at the financial results, you will be ignoring some very important strategic linkages. The first of which is the degree to which customers provide you with the revenues that allow you to analyze your financial results. So if it's customers who pay you, then the next question would be, what is your customer value proposition? What do you promise your customers that you will deliver in terms of the goods and services that you offer? Now, there are a variety of ways of establishing this. You could be focusing on dependability, you could be focusing on quality, you could be focusing on brand identity, you could be focusing on quick and easy. There are a number of ways that you could think about what it is that you want to promise your customers. Of course, if you're going to have a customer value proposition, then the question is internally in the organization, what are the clusters of skills or competencies, let's call them core capabilities, that you need in order to deliver on those customer value promises? So if you promise them the best beans for coffee, for example, do you have a skill set that allows you to find, acquire, and purchase at a reasonable price the best beans in the world? That may also extend to your roasting capability. If your roasting skills are weak, you may buy the best beans and ruin them in the roasting process. So most organizations will have 3 or 4 clusters of core capabilities that you absolutely have to have in robust, excellent working order in order to deliver on the promises you make to your customers. And then, where do these core capabilities come from in the organization? So we could think about, first, an ethereal pool of all of the skills that your employees have. Now, their resumes may or may not be a rough approximation of the skill set of your workforce, but you and I both know that an MBA is not equal to another MBA is not equal to another MBA, or an engineering degree, or whatever the credential may be. That people's skill sets vary widely. So if you could imagine the sum of what person A can do, the sum of what person B can do, and so forth, the sum of all of that skill in your workforce is what we could call human capital. Now, this is an intangible asset. Human capital does not appear on your balance sheet. It doesn't appear on your income statement. Nevertheless, it's an idea, a concept that we can easily imagine and hold in our mind as something that we can utilize to invest in and fertilize, if you will, our core capabilities. Let's add to that something we'll call social capital. And this is the marginal value added by the way your people work together. So if 2 people have a high skill set, but they can't work together very well, the social capital, the marginal contribution to your pool of social capital, might be negative. If two people work together really well, and they complement each other, and they can help each other finish projects that they're working on, they work together as a team, then the marginal contribution in this large concept of social capital might be positive. So if you add all of those marginal contributions in how departments work with other departments, how teams in one group work together with teams in other groups, this combination of marginal contributions collectively we could refer to as social capital asset pool. Now that pool, again, is intangible. It doesn't appear on your income statement. It doesn't appear on your balance sheet. So like human capital, your pool of social capital is a concept which we can easily understand and we can manage if we're clear about the strategic value that it brings. And then finally, we can refer to organizational capital. Given your architectural design of the organization may add marginally to the organization's ability to get things done, or it may actually inhibit people getting work done. If they have too many forms to fill out, too many procedures to follow, too much paperwork to deal with, and so forth. So along with your information technology infrastructure, the way you are organized, including all of your teams, your reporting structure, the way that you manage and utilize the other assets in your organization, we can refer to as your organizational capital. So when we think about results from leadership, we could think about it, well, financial results are important, yes, but we should remember that the financial results are, at least in terms of the revenue side, utterly dependent on the satisfaction of our customers. If they don't like what we're doing, they'll go someplace else. So when we satisfy customers, they give us money, which contributes to our revenue stream. But in order to satisfy those customers, we have to have a set of key capabilities that are designed logically and strategically as linkages to delivering on the promises we give to our customers. And the source of those capabilities has to do with our human capital plus our social capital plus our organizational capital. So that if an investment in human capital, say a training program or even this program, encouraging people with various kinds of incentives or rewards, if those investments don't enhance a particular capability that is essential to delivering on a customer value proposition, then it's a waste of time and money. So every time you spend money on a training program, on a change, on an organizational redesign, on an effort to build teams or to build interdepartmental communication and integration, unless those investments in team building or in organizational redesigns are contributing directly to a particular capability that you already know clearly are designed to serve a particular aspect of your customer value proposition, it's a waste of time and money. And the good investments will be those that can draw this particular linkage. So that what we're really talking about is, how do you convert intangible assets into tangible assets? Human capital, social capital, and organizational capital transformed into a cluster of 3, 4, 5 key organizational capabilities. Might be procurement, might be manufacturing, might be marketing. It depends on the company and the industry, so that customers are satisfied, so that they will give you more money. So let me invite you to think very carefully about this as you think about the results of the organizational efforts that you're going to make.